We'd like to thank our sponsor, Isotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At isotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to isotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is isotope.com, izotope.com. What's happening? Welcome to Hyphenate Halftime for Monday, July 7th. I would like everyone to count their fingers and toes for me. Mr. Aaron Farley, we'll begin with you. Do you have all 10 fingers and all 10 toes left from this explosive, extreme American, not quite the tricentennial?
Oh my God. I don't even know where are we?
There was a lot coming after you there. Well, it'll be 250 years.
250 years.
Next year.
Oh.
So it's 249 this year, right? 1776. I got caught in the math hole last time. I forget.
Yeah. Listen up, math hole.
You fucking math hole.
Me.
You're fine? You didn't blow anything up this weekend?
No, I didn't blow anything up. And I'm staying away from fireworks. Did you see that big fireworks? It was like a storage facility for fireworks up in Northern California blew up
just recently.
Yeah,
I shouldn't laugh. I mean, was anybody hurt? That's her first question.
I don't know. I think it said 2 houses got blown up or something, but it was a massive explosion. But I just did see it. I have to say, I only saw it on Instagram, so I guess it could be.
Is it even true? It could be.
I didn't do any research.
They could be pandas in there talking to each other about something.
Oh my God. And I just looked at it. I looked at it and just went, in California, I think I'm so I have such poor thoughts about how, I mean, I guess they're probably true about how the federal government and the right wing are trying to take over California, and they're trying to just start it on fire. I think that is not that far from the truth. They're trying to get all the people that work in any industry that keeps California running. They're trying to take all of them, and then they are trying to start us on fire. And so when I watched that, I'm like, this is very convenient that this just happened to be in California.
I don't think fireworks are legal anywhere in California, though. Like, how could there be a fireworks storage facility unless it's like some kind of privatized thing? I don't know. I don't think it's legal to sell them here anywhere. That'd be my first thought.
Oh, it is. No, you can get them. You don't know. Like, is There's certain counties that allow them.
Okay.
And then, which is why, I mean, the interesting thing is, we live up on a mountain. So if we want to watch fireworks, we can just go to the edge of the mountain and just look over like San Bernardino, and you just can see it's just people shooting fireworks off in their yard, like for 100, like I don't know how many miles, 50 miles, 60 miles. But yeah, there's certain counties that you can buy them, and then also anywhere where you're on the reservation, I think that they have. Okay. They have the. There are different rules regarding selling fireworks.
I think I just looked up real quick. In the city of San Bernardino, safe and sane, quote unquote, fireworks are permitted south of the 210 freeway, but illegal fireworks are prohibited throughout the city. So something about the 210.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, but everyone gets them. I feel like that's always the thing too, is I always assume they're always illegal here, or at least have been for the last 20 years, but it's so easy to get them in other states or anywhere you get things that are illegal.
Well, I remember like going on the couple tours that I went on, and
Right.
on the
That's
way
always
back
where it's fun
from
to-
Arizona,
yeah.
people would just like, well, you got to stop at the fireworks place and buy $100 of fireworks. Just have fireworks at your house.
Just so yes, I've had those for years. I'm sure they're
Yeah.
still good, right? I could probably still light those off. Those don't go bad.
Oh, I'm
after
sure you
20
should
years.
just try them. Have the kids light them.
There we go. Get those long
Oh my
matches.
God. I remember, it just reminds me of like growing up in the 80s, mostly is like my fireworks
Mhm.
age. And we would just save up money and go ride our bikes and buy fireworks. And it was like bottle rockets. It was cherry bombs. It was M80s.
Mhm.
It was like all the big
I like
stuff.
I like those little snake things.
The
I would definitely get
snakes.
those. Those were fun as a kid.
Ground bloom flowers.
Oh yeah, they like come. You'd have to jump, and they'd get your toes.
Roma candles.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Piccolo Pete's.
I can't. My voice doesn't go that high anymore.
You remember the Piccolo Pete?
Oh sure, yeah.
And you would just light them off for 3 weeks, for like all like for the second half of June. But then also, your parents just didn't care. They're like,
Right.
yeah, that's fine. But just don't blow your fingers off.
Don't point it at your brother's eyes. Don't point
Yeah.
it in your face and your eyes.
And then-
you're fine.
So we would, and we would get like, 1,000 firecrackers, like black cats or whatever. And we'd cut them all open.
Oh no.
And then we get a ping pong ball and like drill a hole. Do not do this. This is what we didn't do. We
This
never did. I would
improvised
never
explosive
tell anybody
device.
to do this.
Yeah.
And we would spend hours unloading the gunpowder into these ping pong balls, duct tape, little wick, and we try to blow a hole
What'd
in
you
the
do
yard.
what'd you do with your summer break? Well, we
We
created a large crater next to a gas line in our yard.
we'd put it under a bucket, and we'd see, or like
Mhm.
something from parents' kitchen, and see if we could blow it up into the air. And like one of our neighbors, he decided to like make a trail of gunpowder on the
Oh,
driveway,
Like
and he
Mission
totally
Impossible.
he burned his face.
Oh,
Like it was just ridiculously unsafe. And then because we had bottle rockets, eventually by the time I was in high school, bottle rockets and maybe firecrackers were illegal by then. But we lived up in the Northwest, so we were very close to the reservations, and you just drive to the reservation, and then they had everything. You could get like quarter stick of dynamite, like
Lord.
it was crazy. You get like a $20 firecracker that would blow up a mailbox or whatever.
Jeez.
Not that we never. blew
Nothing
up. That is
from
a federal crime.
experience. Yeah.
I was smart enough as a kid to know that if you blew up any mailboxes, that is actually a federal crime.
Oh Lord.
But there would always be someone's house would always like a bottle rocket would always end up on someone's roof, and you'd have to go
Get the
over.
hose.
But everyone just had hoses in their yard, so you turn on their hose and hose down there, and just someone's house you didn't even know. You're just hosing down their thing, and then you'd go back and light more fire. It was ridiculous. And then the neighbors would just give us like a cigarette, and they'd light, instead of like a punk or whatever, they'd give you a cigarette. They'd light a cigarette, be like, "Do not smoke this." And then you'd go around with a lit cigarette and you'd light your fireworks.
It's true.
That happened more often than not, like more years than it didn't happen.
Oh my God.
Then I feel like punk, like the punk or whatever came
what was
out.
that? Like just
It
like
was like the thing that you would light and it would just stay lit, so you could carry it around.
long
And it looked like
match kind of thing.
a little tiny skinny long corn dog. It's like
Okay.
brown, and it just was like it would just
stay
slow,
lit, kind of like a candle.
or a like
Sparkler.
what's that stuff when you light incense? It's like
Oh,
an
okay.
incense stick
Got it. Yeah.
that didn't smell.
So
And
funny.
but they would be like, "Oh, we're out of punks," and like, "Oh, just take a cigarette," and then you go light the cigarette. So dumb, so amazing.
funny.
But now
Yeah.
but the last 4th of July, sometimes we'd go to Montana to visit my family, and my uncles were crazy. So first we'd go out and we'd like shoot guns. We'd like at his construction site, he would like set up like this was
Shooting
in the
range.
city limits, by the way. And there was like they'd have a stump, like a big tree stump, and you put like cans on it or whatever. And then we'd go and shoot like 22s and handguns and stuff. And then as it got darker, both my uncles would pull out the like, I don't know, they $200, $300, $400 worth of fireworks. And it was just mayhem for like 3 hours, to where even it was my mom's brothers, and my dad would he's like, yeah, I'm kind of into it, but this is also like someone's going to get so hurt and so like something's going to start on fire. He was always real nervous. I'm like, what are you so nervous about? And now I think back, because we went there 3 years ago, and we were there on 4th of July, maybe 4 years ago. And as an adult, and then our kids were smaller, and they're just like, here's a bunch of firecrackers, and here's some like bottle rockets to shoot at each other, and here's like whatever. And I was like, oh, now I know what my dad felt. This is crazy.
I see.
These
Okay.
people are insane. Yeah, as an adult, I'm like, oh, right.
Just because you survived
There
something
we
doesn't mean you have to expose your children to the same things you survived. Just because you got lucky. Oh, it's hilarious. No, I remember my dad, he'd build some kind of like wooden contraption with like a spinning wheel on it, just for our family, you know, and maybe a couple of neighbors would come out. We'd light off all the fireworks. Usually we'd go to Mexico in some kind of surf trip or something before. So we'd get like a big, you know, box or two of Mexican fireworks.
And just bring them across the border, and no big deal.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had the truck and all the surfboards and camping gear in there, and always, bunch of Mexican, fireworks. I just kind of set them all off, you know, in the middle of the street for, you know, half hour. And then like, that was it. But it was pretty normal. But I don't know if I don't mind our kids seeing the big protected ones. I thought when you said that about the California warehouse going up, there was a video, I think it was a couple of years back, maybe 5 years ago. I think it was in San Diego, when just all the fireworks for one of those big displays all went off at the same time, instead of one at a time. You know, like it was supposed to be like a half hour presentation, you know, they'd go off one at a time, but then they all just went off in like 10 seconds.
Oh my God. And I think that was last year.
Was that last year? Okay. I don't know.
Feel like it was.
I have no concept of time anymore.
I'm gonna see if that Sacramento fireworks warehouse thing was real. Oh yeah, there it is. 15 hours ago.
Wow.
California fireworks warehouse catches fire and explodes.
Jesus.
Wow.
You couldn't see that one coming. I guess.
No.
It's like something out of like a Looney Tunes cartoon, or like, you know, Coyote and Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Like, don't go to the fireworks factory. I think that's actually the ending of Madam Web. I know, speaking of movies you haven't seen, there's the Madam Web movie. It all takes place at the end is a big fireworks factory on the banks of like the East River or something in New Jersey. I don't know. Some kind of.
I feel like that's uninsurable.
A fireworks factory? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having issues.
If a house is uninsurable, how could you have a fireworks factory?
I know. Speaking of, I'm like having to paint my garage in like 3 days, because they're like, no, you have chipped paint, and we're going to cancel your insurance because of chipped paint. And I'm like, chipped paint? Okay. And then I look at like a fireworks factory, and I'm like, how are they insuring that? Maybe that's the problem. That place explodes. And I'm like, well, now no one can get insurance because we spent everything on the fireworks factory.
Well, it's insane. Yeah, it's funny you say chip paint. Yeah, I just had the kids out helping me, you know, sand down and scrape off some. The kids were home this last week from all the camps, you know, just because of the holiday. They get 1 week of a traditional kids, you know, summer break like we used to have. We're just nothing to do all day long. So I'd get them out there once they really start looking bored and trying to find these. All right, come on, let's go. And so we're scraping off chipped stucco and chipped paint, and I was showing them how to put new stucco on, and we painted little areas, cool. You know, because, you know, just those little things around the house. Like, this is how you just, you know, keep the house looking good. Now on the patio, we got some wood, you know, where the paint's been chipping. I'm like, okay, that same thing you use to put the stucco on the side of the wall. Now we're going to use that to scrape off the paint. It's a spatula and a scraper. Let's go.
I know. I'm learning I need to be more industrious. Like I kind of know I've done enough construction to where I know how to do things, but
You also know why it's worth hiring someone else to do it.
Oh my God. But I know how to, I know how to build a wall, or I know how to do all those basic things, but what I'm worried about is that I think that I know more than I do. And
Ooh.
Then I'll be like, well, yeah, I could put siding on the garage or whatever. And then I'll tear it off and go, wait, what's this? I didn't know. What is this part?
Flashing? What is the flashing?
Wait, how do I is this from keeping, I don't know how to keep water out of the garage. Wait, what is this? Do I have to buy more of this? I just ripped it in half. Can I even get this?
Well, that's the other thing too. They even make this. The YouTubes are incredible for, I think back to our parents and our dads, they really had to apprentice somewhere or have somebody, have some time on a site. At our point now, just within 15 minutes to a half hour, you really could do any home repair, at least have a good sense of it. The YouTubeage is out of control. And when we were remodeling the garage for the studio, we would all go home because it was all like out of work, unemployed, like music people, front of house engineers. And, so I just enlisted all of my music friends. And so we'd all watch at night. We'd all just Google like how to do drywall, how to install drywall. And we'd find the same Canadian guy who was incredible. It was so awesome.
It's like, everybody watch this. We're going to talk about it for 30 minutes in the morning.
We'll be back.
We'll go get the stuff.
Yep. And then we'll go get some burritos. We'll take a break and then we'll do it. But it was hilarious. I mean, none of us knew what we were doing, but we, mostly just needed muscle, especially redoing the ceiling drywall. We'd have four people up on tall ladders. I think the ceilings here are almost like 20 feet. And then, everyone just kind of holding it up or putting their backs on it, and then holding like somebody has with a screw gun. They're just dropping screws, trying to find a stud to sink it in. The studs are off. Nope. Okay. Everybody come back down. It's not working. Now go back up again. Okay. Push it up.
Everyone's backs are cramped up.
Yeah, we hired one sound engineer who actually had construction work background. He had carpentry background, Anthony, and so he was our one paid guy, and the rest of us were all just free labor.
Yeah,
it was hilarious, but we figured it out, and then we learned how. And we all did the seams. We covered the seams and covered the nails and puttied it up.
We did that at the gallery. We had to build.
Right. Yeah, it seems like drywalling 101 is part of the gallery ownership.
Yeah, that was one of the only. I mean, I guess I've done drywall before, but it was all like on a crew of people who knew what they were doing. So I was mostly like sweeping up or like using a screw gun here and there, but I wasn't having to do any thinking. Like well, if I get this wrong, then what happens? I think that's the point that I'm at now here, even when like I was going to do a French drain in the front.
Oh yeah.
Because we were getting some leaking, and I was looking and was like, okay, this is like $1,000 worth of stuff, gravel, and we can dig this hole out. It'll take a couple days, and then I was like, yeah, but what if I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal. You just dig next to your foundation. And then like, what if I hear some sounds of like,
oh no.
And I find out that I don't know what to do if something goes wrong. Right. If I'm wrong, I don't know what, so what happens if I start hearing cracking sounds?
What to do in the case of cracking?
Yeah, I don't have any. Yeah. I don't know how to do any of the other if stuff goes wrong. I could figure it out if everything is going right. But if I'm just dig out next to the foundation, and then they're like, no, you never, no,
dig under the foundation.
Here's the rule. You don't know the rule. You don't know the engineering rule. No. No,
not at all. Well, that's always what I fear too, the finesse. Even if you get the 101, the basics of it, once you're in the middle of the job, there's a finesse that just comes with, 10 plus years of experience on a job that could be really easy for someone else to do. But
totally.
Just, you bumbling through it for the first time on your own house with all the money invested in it and the insurance on the hook. It's like, okay, what, if I fuck this up, what's the worst that could happen?
It's like redoing the brake pads on your car where you're like, I can watch it on YouTube and I'm like, yeah, this seems really easy. I have a jack. I have all the stuff, but I'm like, but if I get this wrong, this could be real bad. if I forget to
That's so funny.
grease the pins, this is going to screw up. This is going to be a real
Oh, that's funny.
heavy problem.
That was the one thing I got good at doing when I was broke and in college and right out of college. I'd do it, changing my own brake pads, because that thing, it cost over $100, whatever it was, to get the brake pads on. And I was so broke and so desperate that I didn't care, even if I fucked it up. It's like, well, I'll tell if I can't brake. I'll go around the block a few times, and if it doesn't seem like it's slowing enough, then I can, look at it again. But
brake pads are like $50 or whatever.
Oh man, I don't know. Back then, again, 20 years ago, it was probably less even.
Yeah.
But it was, I think I got the whole thing done for like $30.
Yeah.
But you needed the clamp. That was the thing. And I had one, a big C clamp to push the caliper back in. That was the thing we really needed. But I had a cool little kit, of like a breaker, the big X, thing to take the tire lug nuts off.
Mm-hmm.
And then the clamp. And then you really just swap them out. But then the rotor I never did. I don't think I ever put any rotor on, but even that, I think relatively, one comes off, the next one comes on. But if it was just pads, I could get that done. It was also when I was buying $20 used tires, so if I could spend $30 for a set of, for each tire or for the brakes, and then another $20 for a used tire on there, it got me through to the next year,
I mean, for years, I don't think I ever bought new tires until I was maybe 35.
Same. Yeah.
Maybe
all four
maybe
at the
older.
same time. New tires, all four. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Never. And I would just wait. It'd be like one really bad one. And I'd be like, I'd just get a new one. And they're like, oh, you got to get two. And I'm like, yeah, I can't really afford. They're like, it's going to really knock off your alignment. And then you're like, well, just pull the steering wheel to the side a little bit. What's
a big deal? What's alignment?
I've never thought about alignment. Like it's luck of the draw whether if your steering wheel's in the middle or not. Like, it just pulls to the left a little bit.
Yeah. I got one arm stronger than the other arm. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm a strong kid. I can handle automatic steering. Like, come on.
Oh, it's hilarious. So a couple things to get to this week. We're going to talk about last week's interview with Jeff Schroeder, and then we're also going to talk about what year is there? 1995 sci-fi dystopian cyberpunk classic Johnny Mnemonic.
Yes.
Is it right? Is it 1995? It's really a precursor to The Matrix.
Something like that. 93.
95. Yeah.
95. Okay.
Had a 95 feel.
Yeah.
With CGI graphics, it felt like they're from 1987.
Oh, it's the greatest. It really is the greatest.
But it's, we were just talking before we started rolling though, but it was just, looking at the background of the film Johnny Mnemonic, it was directed by artist Robert Longo, which is insane. If you think about how batshit crazy the film is, and then you just look at some of the creation of it and how it came to be, and you're like, that's not right. Robert Longo shouldn't be directing. I didn't know he directed movies. And you see the movie he directed, you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah. Well, he'd only directed one. I think that was like, he directed it and was like, oh, I'm out. This is not my jam. Cause he had done a couple commercials or something.
I guess that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't, like, I feel like, and I don't know how old he was when he made it. Sorry, I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, no. He did a Helmet music video, New Order, Bizarre Love Triangle, 1986 music video, Megadeth, Peace Sells.
That's right. Video. He had done music videos, not commercials. He had done some music.
He probably did some commercials too, but he's not promoting those on his site. Those are kind of it's probably what kept because I don't know how much you'd get paid for these, but the one I love, REM 1987.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then MTV spots throughout the 80s. Looks like this one's featuring Steve Buscemi. And it all culminates in the one masterpiece, Johnny Mnemonic, 1995.
But there's only what on his site there's 13 videos. And then it ends in 1995 and he's like, yeah, I'm done. I am done with this.
It's cool.
Yeah, I'm all good. I loved it. I hadn't seen it. I probably saw it when it came out. And that was right when I was getting into photography.
Okay.
So, and right when I had learned about like I mean, it's maybe a little bit after that. I had learned about cross processing. Do you know about cross processing?
No, what's that?
So there's positive film and there's negative film, right? Positive film is like slides, like when you shoot slides. That's the actual film that came out of the camera, right? So when you're
Okay.
looking at a slide, like in a slide projector or whatever, that is the film that was in the camera is a slide.
Got
And
it.
then there's a negative film, which is like the orange negatives that you get that you have to reprint as a positive to make a photo, right? So those are the two things. Well, during that era, it became very cool to shoot slide film and then get it processed as a negative. So and what that did is it messed up the colors really crazy, and it made it really high contrast, and it gave you this kind of bluish, purplish, like it became like this very 90s vibe. What became of the 90s? Like if you look up cross
I see.
photos, right? It
Yeah,
became big in skating and a
Yeah.
lot of music stuff, music
Kind of the
videos.
blue and turquoise yellows and
Yeah, it just
Yeah.
became. It was like really vibrant, but
It was-
but the colors were just off a little bit, and everything was kind of purpley and blue. And
sort of like what was the prismatic thing in the early days of Instagram. There was those
Yes.
early filtering things kind of
Totally.
look like that. Like, whoa,
Totally.
these just look so cool.
yeah, and that's when people were starting to do that, and they're like, "That was just cross." I was doing that in 1997. Now you got this stupid phone. No, but I feel like that vibe, and this is right. This movie is like a year before I started photo assisting in Portland, or maybe 2 years. But this vibe of how that movie looked, like the lighting and the contrast and the like camera angles that were like 45-degree angles, when they
sure.
were walking towards the camera and like
Dutch angles, they'd call those in film,
Right,
where you sort of go
right.
off axis.
Yeah,
from
but like
from the horizon.
really off axis, because
Yeah.
sometimes you'd be like just tilt it a little bit to make it uneasy, and this was like no, they're walking into the corner of the frame.
Yeah.
And but all of that stuff, like that vibe, it just brought me back to all of the lighting that I learned in those early years of like, no, we want the lighting to be very obvious.
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to hide lights
Unnaturalistic.
and like, oh, make it look natural. Like, no, this is lit with 42 hot lights and there's like a pin light on the eyeball when he's looking at and so that vibe, I loved it. And then it just I feel like this is probably, if you just look it up on YouTube, there's like the Keanu Reeves conundrum.
Is that what it's
like,
called?
Well, that's what I kind of think, because I it's like you understand 100% why Keanu Reeves is one of the biggest like stars of all time, but I can't give you like any reasons. You know what I mean? Like his acting is like, it's acting. Like you can see the acting, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's very good looking.
That's one way to say it. Yeah.
But there's a lot of very good looking people who don't have the vibe, the Keanu Reeves vibe. And he just has like a vibe where you're like, especially in those old movies, The Matrix was the same way. It's so like acted. Like everything is, you can see him acting, right? Like you can see him kind of like thinking and like making choices, and which are all things that you usually don't ever want to see. But for some reason with Keanu Reeves, it works. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like I'm like pushing for him to be like, come on, man, don't like, just be a little, like relax just a little bit.
10% better acting. Come on, you can do this.
Just come on. But you're pushing for him the whole time.
That can't have been the best take they had of him saying that line. Come on.
Or like when he's doing like the like karate and the like,
oh, sure. Well, that's great. Yeah.
Like but he does that again kind of in the Matrix, right?
this film very much is a Matrix,
Prequel,
0.5.
kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sort of this movie walked so the Matrix could run.
100%.
I have my theory on the Keanu Reeves conundrum, which is great. I like the alliterative of that. Is he's the perfect cipher for the audience. He is the audience, and that's always,
Oh, right.
in one way or another, from the visual storytelling thing, you need somebody who is the uninitiated, who is learning the story and is going through the world for the first time, the Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, where they are the surrogate for the viewer who goes through it and they know nothing. And they're just as shocked at everything that they're learning as the audience is learning about the thing. And Keanu is great because he really does the blank. I don't know anything. I don't know. There are no thoughts going on in my head. I'm reacting exactly as to this world as brand new as the audience is. So I think, it's a polite way of saying, there might not be a lot going on behind the eyes of Keanu Reeves on screen, but he looks great. He's always, in good shape, and he has good hair, and it's high contrast to the dark hair and his pale skin. And he looks cool, and he looks like a fashion model. And so if you had to pick somebody to be you, or if you had to pick somebody to look like for an hour, he's not a bad sort of avatar. If as you go through a dystopian future world, like, whoa, what's happening? What are you telling me? I don't understand. What is this? What's going on?
Yeah.
And that's you. And then you get to have the filmmaker is the point of view of all the other characters and the lighting and the thing. So you put this black and white, faceless, thoughtless, sort of like blank slate avatar walking through whatever world you want to think of as the filmmaker. He's the perfect contrast to that. And he's going to learn about your world and your point of view as a filmmaker, or filmmakers as the Wachowskis sort of were, who used him probably to his best. But he's great. Again, it's like distilled down to like the most essence of how blank slate and he embodies that like film or movie star thing, where not everybody gets to be a movie star, meaning that like a movie star, comes with baggage, comes with things that, who that person is, and you want to see that person in this situation. Right. And, it's I think it's just, it's an interesting sort of thing because he can't be not Keanu Reeves. Like his best roles are when he's just Keanu Reeves. Even when he cameos in the SpongeBob movie, he's just, hi, I'm Keanu Reeves. And it's him. He's not going to be a clam or something, you're not going to find him, or he's not going to be the other guy. He's always going to be the guy. And he does that well.
When it's like, it makes me think, like, if you ever see him in interviews, which he rarely does, right? But you see him and he's like, seems like the sweetest guy. He also doesn't seem to take himself very seriously. It was just like, I'm the guy, I'm working.
This works for
He's
me.
done kind of like funny, jokey things about himself. That's like, but then his characters are always serious. Always serious.
Yes.
But then when you see him in real life, you're like, he's not a serious guy. He's like it's kind of like a goofy, surfy kind of like, hey, I'm from California, and it's great. Yeah, I'm in this band. It's cool. We go on tour. I just play bass. I'm sitting in the back, and I just kind of jam out. It's the best ever, and go do a movie, and come back, hang out with my family. He's married to his wife is like 25 years older than him or something, right? Like,
I don't know if that's true.
No, I think it is. Like, look it up. Yeah, okay. She's like an older, like established woman that they've been together forever. I don't know, maybe 25 is a little much, but I feel like it's like a relationship that has happened, like he's been a part of for a long time, and he's a very like, who knows. But it's definitely a. There's also like there's no one else like that, right? Like he is his own. He's kind of his own thing.
I'm just looking at it. So Keanu Reeves was born in 1964, and his girlfriend was born in 1973. So,
Oh,
but I think
I was thinking of an older.
For a major,
have they been together for a long time?
I think they've been together for a long time. But for a major movie star to date anybody within like 15 years of his age,
like actually younger than him,
he gets a lot of credit for that. Yeah.
Okay, we can edit that part out. I don't know why I thought she was.
Oh no, that's staying in. So yeah, so she's 52.
All right, AI, you got to make me an AI you got to make me like a redneck when I say that one.
She's 52 and he's 64. So for a 64-year-old multimillionaire movie star to date somebody who's not under 30 years old is very admirable.
Well, chalk that up to me being an asshole.
Hey, I mean, he is still a millionaire.
I thought that he had this.
I think she's age appropriate would be the
relationship
the
with someone who is older than him.
I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe maybe I have to dig deeper into the gossip magazine. Maybe I haven't quite found it. But yeah, no, I think he's great. He is that sort of that blank slate sort of person, and he comes with all that kind of movie star stuff. Yeah, that you'd want to have, and like you know who he is and what he does well.
He's the guy that you always see the memes of, like Keanu Reeves was
sad Keanu,
or he was on the he was taking the subway to work every day, and he helped a homeless man come off and they looked up and they realized
gave him
it was Keanu Reeves. Yeah, exactly. Like is this true? It also, you look at it and you're like, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Or, he's like the person where you're going to find out later, like he completely funded like 7,000 kids to go to college or something, like
I wish
he hasn't taken one dime from his acting career since 1994. And he gave it all to start a new country that is completely,
well,
like,
I know he did.
That makes sense.
The one story I had heard is that he bought all of his stunt team from the Matrix, motorcycles at the end of the movie. Like, because they all made him look good. I think he understood, that was the thing. And then it goes further that his stunt coordinators and his stunt men in the first Matrix, they went on to create the John Wick series, and they came back to him and said, hey, they were directing second unit stuff. They're directing stunt things, and they wanted to direct their own movie. And they had this kind of action show, or this stunt showcase film that would be John Wick. And would he do it for next to no money? And he said yes, because he knew he liked them as from their stunt work and from their work together, and that film, and he trusted them. And so that's how they created the John Wick stuff. Was just, he was like, yeah, sure, whatever you guys want to do. You want to do some, because at that point, before John Wick, he had sort of ended a chapter, that the Matrix and all of the stuff,
right,
that was
4 Matrix movies,
that was sort of
done.
Yeah,
3 Matrix
movies. Yeah, well, and then a fourth one later, that was the newest one. But anyway, but that was sort of the next, that was sort of that bought him another 20 years of sort of relevancy, being John Wick man.
And probably John Wick is more popular than the Matrix, like more seen or made more money from.
Well, at least it's relevant. Matrix. I mean, it's of this age, of this time, but again, the best quote from that is, people keep saying I'm back. Yeah, I guess I'm back. Like, he only needs, if the less he says, the better the movies are. I'm sure there's a correlation between the amount of lines that Keanu Reeves has in any movie and how well it does. Like, for whatever he gets paid. I remember Charles Bronson, I think, had something like this. Like, if you cracked it down to like how much they got paid per word, or Schwarzenegger, or these kind of people, you know what I mean? Like, or Stallone, like the less they say, the more money the movie makes. Like, you really don't want them talking. But which perfectly encapsulates this idea: film is visual. You know what I mean? Right. If you have any dialogue, it should be lies, it should be deceit, it should be flirtatious, it should be part of that. The words should only ever serve an action that the person is doing, and should be contradictory to what they actually want. Meaning that, you know what I mean? That, and the first time people start saying, direct things, like in this film, Johnny Mnemonic, when he talks about how he wants a hooker and a steak and his shirt's pressed. What does this mean? This means nothing. This is the most bullshit thing. I think that's become a meme scene.
Or what does he yell when he's up on the pile of dirt, and he goes, I want my shirts pressed. Yeah. I want a $2,000 steak.
Yeah.
Oh no. I want room service.
Yeah. It doesn't
Oh
work.
my God.
Yeah.
But I do love a very cheesy, sincere movie. Like it was trying to be very, like
right.
this was going to be what the Matrix ended up being. Like this is what they wanted it to be. That
he had the cure
right?
for the disease. He was the Jesus figure. You know what I mean? It's this kind of like
100%.
post-apocalyptic, cyberpunk, salvation, Christ allegory of the singular person that could save the world.
And it is
with the data inside of him or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the, like the hero, what is this called? The hero's journey. Like it's like,
sure.
so it's like
Yeah,
the hero's journey,
everything.
but he's also, it's like the benevolent hero. It's like he doesn't want to be the hero.
The reluctant hero.
The reluctant hero. Yeah. And it's like, he doesn't want to be the hero.
Nobody
wants to. I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, I want my memories back.
Get this out of my head. And then like when they like,
I read a book. I need this information out of my head right now.
I need this. And I love it that it's like 300 gigabytes, which back then was like
what
would
biggest,
be now
the
would
biggest
be
disc.
like 400 terabytes or what, it's like, and that was
you
like,
could get a thumb
and right
drive
now, like you can buy like one little, you could buy a thumb drive with 300 gigs on it. Easy. 500.
Why just, I don't even think they sell in the increments of 300. So you're just like, okay, at least get a 500 for $7.
Yeah, that's how we know this isn't true. Also, it was 2021.
Right.
The movie was in 2021.
Yeah.
I love how dystopian they thought it was going to get so fast. And what they missed is that everything, they thought in the future everything would happen at night, and now no one goes out at night.
It's true. You're right. They missed that part.
Everything, it's like, no, it doesn't have to be nighttime to be shady. Like things are just shady during the day now, and everybody stays home. There are no downtowns anymore. No one hangs out in big buildings anymore. That's everybody is just on their computer and downloading stuff and watching YouTube, like watching Netflix and hoping all of this just goes away. Like it's really much more sad than they thought. They thought it was going to be like, this is going to be sad, but it's going to be super exciting. And now it's like,
it's not exciting at all.
It's just sad. And everyone's like, what? Wait, you mean, so I don't even have money now? Like my money is digital in the bank and they could just turn off my card and then I don't. Oh,
but also they got the global pandemic and the big pharma, taking advantage of everybody and slowly piecing out the cure for this disease. But it's also the thing too, like when he uploads the cure for the disease, like who the fuck is going to make how does that save anybody? Is it like just something you can download to your own brain?
That's what I did.
Now the cure's here. It's like, what part of it too is like, okay, well now once the cure is made public, who's going to make it? You still have to have the pharmaceutical
You still have to have
places.
the farm.
Yeah.
I mean, could
Henry Rollins get that information and get everybody can fix and save everyone if he uploaded it to the mainframe? Now
hopefully
know about it because
we can do it all.
You got to loop it through the dolphin. So if you don't know the whole story of Johnny Mnemonic is Keanu Reeves is a courier where he stores data in his head. He's who's wet wired. He stores 300, or he's only supposed to have 250.
He upgraded to 150
and
then they doubled it.
He overloaded it into his head. He had to give up some of his childhood memories, his long-term memories.
This is my last one.
And then so he's carrying the cure for a global pandemic in his brain. And he has to go from from Beijing
but he doesn't know though.
To Newark.
He doesn't know what it is.
Yeah. But he goes from Beijing to Newark and he runs into Henry Rollins, who's a doctor who can help upgrade people cybernetically and save them from this pandemic for a little while or treat their symptoms. Meanwhile, he's backstabbed by Udo Kier, one of the great character actors of the 70s and 80s, who's kind of his like pimp, his sort of career, like data pimp, tries to get his head chopped off by the Yakuza. But
he's like giving him, he's his manager.
Sure.
He's getting him his work.
But once they can't chop his head off, then they hire Dolph Lundgren, who is a cyber Jesus street preacher. Dolph Lundgren as a Jesus with a crucifix in the shape of a Rambo knife.
Yeah.
Who's going to free everybody of their sins. But before Dolph Lundgren can chop his head off, as the Dolph Lundgren cyber Jesus can chop his head off, he has to go have Ice-T take him to meet the dolphin who was trained by the Navy to hack into the computer databases and then loop his memory or whatever the data for the cure for the global crisis through the dolphin's brain to shoot it out to the world to save the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
okay,
the dolphins,
just want to make sure
the dolphins are going to save the world.
I would love to see a remake of this. I think if anything, you know what I mean? I hate when they remake good movies, but you take a movie like this, what's packed with ideas and is executed so poorly but it has huge, big swing, high concept ideas. You know what I mean? If you get Timothée Chalamet as Johnny Mnemonic,
oh my God,
2050, you know, it's like the done by Denis Villeneuve. Like the follow up to Dune is Johnny Mnemonic. I think we got something here.
I think that these kind of cyberpunk things are way more. I mean, the strangest, not even the strangest, but that all of these movies we've been watching have really conceptually correct.
Sure,
like conceptually,
right, yeah.
This is what
the plots,
right? Like
the
we
fears,
all have
the threats,
but also like we all carry around devices that have gigabytes, hundreds of gigabytes of information. We have the information of the world at our fingertips. We're like hardwired, we're soft-wired.
We've only got stupider for having it. The more information we carry, the less we need to actually know in our brain. It just makes us horribly
and we're like
ignorant
soft-wired into the whole information system of the world and all these things. And
tap your mic.
Farm.
There it is. Okay, you're good. You're good.
Okay, don't touch. That pharmaceutical companies are running the world and are withholding data for their own hijinks and profit and like control, and that all of this, everything is going to be controlled by information, and whoever holds the information holds the key and all these things. And they're all there, but they're all based off, like when you read, they're all based off of like, this person read Philip K. Dick.
Well, this was a Philip K. Dick story, right?
Right. It's like a short story, but then they're all kind of based off of the same 4 books, kind of the 1984.
William Gibson. Sorry, not Philip K. Dick. This is a William Gibson short story.
Oh, okay. William Gibson, Philip K. Dick, Necromancer, like all of these things, and it really makes me think, because this is also the exact same time that the internet started, and so that, or whatever, became more accessible for regular people. I guess the internet started in the 70s or late 60s or whatever. Whenever
who was the vice president invented it?
Clinton and Gore. Al Gore.
Yeah, Al Gore invented the internet. Right.
They've invented the internet. Al Gore says he invented the internet.
Invented the internet.
But is it a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Oh, I see.
That like these things, these movies, they're like the creatives are coming up with like, this is how horrible it's going to be. And then everybody in Silicon Valley and everyone sees this kind of, or this thought process is just in the air. And they're like, it could be that horrible, but I could also control how horrible it is. Or those people go, no, it's not going to be horrible. We're going to start this amazing part of the internet that is just it's going to be all for positivity, and it's going to be great, and we're going to bring everybody together. But then it really turns out to be kind of like the self-fulfilling prophecy. Or was it just meant to be, and the creative people are like, yeah, I mean, this is the only way we can see this going. This isn't going to be good.
Or it was, I think it was almost more, boring in that the threats of this type of thinking and this type of technology, it could be so easily played out. And so like, well, if everybody's online all the time, then you could just hack their data and nobody knows anything. You can get everybody to question if reality is even real, and you take advantage of a gullible population that has no ability to think for themselves. And we control all modes of media and they're fine. It's just it's so apparent. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. And then as it progresses and it keeps doing that, like, but what about the threat? Like, oh, that was just science fiction. That wasn't real. It's like you almost infantilize your threats. So when everybody brings them up, like, ha ha ha, that was a bad movie that was made a long time ago. That's not what's really going to happen. And then it just all happens exactly the way they said it was going to.
Yeah, but it's less fun.
It's less entertaining
it's less entertaining. I don't know.
As all your rights are taken away and stripped from you, and
you're like, but this is all happening, but I can't jump building to building. Why can't we do that part?
Cool?
Yet?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, no, that's the part that was made up. The other stuff is all true. It's just going to be way less exciting.
All the bad parts are going to come true, and all the fun stuff of it was just to get the sugar to
get the point
pill.
across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but so what did we do? We did War Games, Sneakers, Johnny Mnemonic. And then next we have The Net.
The Net. I haven't watched
Sandra
it yet.
Bullock.
I think I'm going to watch that tonight after Sandra Bullock.
It's awesome.
Sandra Bullock is a little bit, she kind of got the vibe of being kind of similar to the Keanu vibe, right? Like people kind of like don't take her seriously, or she's kind of like always getting mixed up in something that she doesn't understand.
I don't know.
They were on Speed. They were in Speed together, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they were on Speed. They were on Speed together. They did Speed together.
Yes, they were on Speed. This all sounds wrong. And then they made a movie. I don't know. Yeah. I'm gonna watch.
Well, but okay, The Net is also 1995. Okay, so we're going along the same lines.
Ooh,
we're at the same time.
All right.
So while her methed out boyfriend was doing Johnny Mnemonic, she was.
And then they both are like,
The Net.
We got to get out of this place, and they get on a bus. For the
I think Speed was before. Speed was definitely.
Was
before. Oh yeah. Let's see. Speed was, I want to say 93, no 94. So the year before.
Oh, so they had both done Speed already.
Hey man, they were hooked. They were
wow,
hooked
that's
on Speed,
interesting. So
and then
Keanu Reeves had done like the movie Speed already.
Thank you. There we go. Yeah.
And then Johnny Mnemonic.
Kind of a step down, but I would imagine in some ways he might have even filmed it before, and it took him an extra year to figure out how to do all that crappy computer graphics. He looks a little younger in this than he does in Speed. So who knows? Just the way production works. I could see Johnny Mnemonic having a tough post-production time. And so
all those 80s graphics. Oh my God, they were so great. I loved it. I love that. It's like because how many years, like Tron was like the 80s, right? Like 80.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this is after Jurassic Park.
86.
Jurassic Park was 93. So this is 2 years after Jurassic Park, and one of the kind of the highlights of, legitimizing computer graphics in a mainstream huge blockbuster film. They're still making
Toy Story. All that stuff is.
Toy Story is the same year as this, 95.
Yeah.
So I mean, 95 is sort of the big thing, but it's still being done badly if you have the budget of Johnny Mnemonic.
I loved it.
You get these graphics.
You say badly. I say it had that extra spice that was needed for that movie. Because if the graphics would have been really good, it would have made the rest of the movie look. It really was like a B movie with 3 times the budget of a B movie.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. But that's what so much of, I mean, I feel like that's what my childhood was filled with, was just
100%.
These bad B movies, but they're all shot on film with a high concept, and production value may vary, but still, all of that stuff costs money. That animatronic dolphin costs so much money. And that weird TV sculpture they have at the end in heaven, that costs money. All of those shots, the whole thing, everything costs so much money. This was not a cheap film to make. It doesn't look great,
no,
which is a shame, but it cost a lot.
Says you. I thought it looked amazing. But I love that, like, because it felt like Terminator, or it felt like it just had that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is dystopian. We don't have enough money for a lot of extras, so we're gonna shoot in like kind of small spaces, and we're gonna use all our money for this big set, which is heaven or whatever, and then also the big set that Ice-T and that they were in, that was up in that thing where they kept dropping like flaming cars on people on the bridge or whatever.
Was that the same shot twice? I couldn't tell how many flaming cars they dropped. They just dropped the one, and then they showed it again.
Yeah, and then they were like looking under the bridge, and there's the people in there, and that was so great. But then also, Ice-T is almost the exact same character that he played in Tank Girl. Do you remember Tank Girl?
Yeah. Who are you saying? The Ice-T?
Ice-T.
Oh Lord, okay.
Because he was in Tank Girl, I think.
Tank Girl had the weird kangaroos, right?
Yeah, and he was one of them, I think. Hold on. Ice-T, Tank Girl. I'm going to be wrong. I'm just going to be as wrong about this as
no,
I am.
he was in there.
Yeah.
T-Saint.
He's
Yep,
like
he was in
he's
there.
like the main.
He was the voice.
But he has the dreads, and he kind of is the same character.
Oh Lord.
In this, and I'm like, and
also
and Tank
1995, another 1995 film, Tank Girl.
Oh, Tank Girl was 95.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's like, well, I already have the dreads costume. You want to just make me a kangaroo and call it like we're on.
We're good.
Ready to go.
Oh
my God. Yeah. So Ice-T. I love that Ice-T, Henry Rollins were in there. This must have also been at the same time. Was this at the same time they were both on Lollapalooza?
So Lollapalooza, they were on that first
that would have been
Lollapalooza. So it would have been a couple of years before, 91,
right?
92. Yeah.
Okay. So which is great because they knew each other. They would have known each other through music.
91. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I've heard Henry talk about his Lollapalooza experience on his short-lived Henry and Heidi podcast.
I think that was their best one when he talked about Lollapalooza. It was the greatest.
Yeah. It seemed so like he loved seeing Ice-T and Body Count. You know, that he wanted to see them every night. Yeah. Oh, there's photos of them on stage together at that time. That was 91.
And then, like Gibby, like he had those crazy Butthole Surfers.
Gibby Haynes shooting blanks out of a shotgun on stage. Yeah.
Jesus, so crazy. The 90s were nuts.
But what is, I mean, this was, 80s. Jane's Addiction, Susie and the Banshees, Living Color, Nine Inch Nails, Butthole Surfers, Rollins Band.
So good. Wait, is that all the bands that were on there? Or
Jane's Addiction, Susie and the Banshees, Living Color, Nine Inch Nails, Ice-T, Butthole Surfers, Rollins Band. That's the whole Lollapalooza 91.
Only 7 bands?
That's what it says here.
Wow, that's great. That's amazing.
I think that's what.
So that was before the year
kickoff.
Of. Then the next year was probably like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, like whatever.
Maybe
like it became much bigger.
1991, the year punk broke. Yeah, I mean, I think there was still the come up. I don't think.
That's awesome. Yeah, 91 would have been early. I was a sophomore.
Speaking of the 90s, Smashing Pumpkins. Yes. Jeff Schroeder.
I love how many. I love that somehow the Smashing Pumpkins are the through line of your podcast.
I don't know how this has happened, but I think
there's
a secret. I think I have an obsession / fascination or just a niche. I don't know. I don't think I can't crack the Billy Corrigan code in so much that I think he is probably an asshole in real life. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of good art. I don't know. There's a body of work that's very listenable and is very much part of the culture that I came from. However, he doesn't have the one thing like, oh, well, everyone hates him because of this. It's this sort of like general like megalomania, narcissism that just seems like he's an impossible person to be around. However, he can be charming in interviews, and he works media correctly, and he's established his sort of place in the pantheon of sort of rock guitar gods.
Yeah.
So
I think
I'm forced to deal with him.
He has that thing of like, megalomania, nerdiness, and a disdain for being cool. Like he doesn't care. He's not like, well, I don't want to be in with the guy. Like I don't need to be in with the guys. I'm going to be my own. I got my own thing going on.
Which could make him so cool, which is a cool thing, I think, to be, to be your own kind of person and just have your own taste and everything. But then, so that's the thing is I want to be in the corner and be like, yeah, this guy's, he's his own beat, dances to the beat of his own drum. He's got his own kind of thing. He's not concerned with fitting in. And then and then he follows it up with just like talking about himself in the third person and just takes credit for everything. And you're just like, well, that guy's not I'm not able to root for that guy very well. That seems like a hard guy to So I think that's what keeps it going. And you know what? That might even be by design. He might even be just troll.
Totally.
He might be the biggest troll that the
100%.
culture's ever sort of dealt with in that kind of way.
Wears like a big cloak and like
dresses like Uncle Fester, and then
shaves his head, loves wrestling, like invests in wrestling, like he loves WWF. So that makes sense too, because then he becomes a character. He's like,
he goes from
I'm going to be the heel
to face. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I feel like he has just become like, oh no, this works better if I'm the heel. Like I get to kind of be the bad guy, and then as the bad guy, you kind of get to say whatever you want.
And
like you don't have to.
More people talk about the bad
stuff.
guy than they talk about the good guy. Every once in a while, if he feels like the indie intelligentsia or the cool crowd is liking him too much, then he can just piss everybody off by saying something totally egocentric and shitty. And
then, like what would the punk kids
repels?
Hate?
Yeah, repels everybody from that culture, and then does something really, artistically interesting. Oh, but we want to like you. It's like, no, don't like me. Here's my 4-record solo magnum opus concept record all about myself as the operator of the machine. And you're like, good gods of machines and Billy. And you're like, huh?
Like what?
I don't fucking want to. Like,
that's weird.
Yeah.
Weren't
you being like sincere and earnest just in the last interview cycle and talking about the troubles and your sensitivity and how hard life was, and you seem to be a real person, and now you've just gone off the deep end of just being some kind of just shit heel. I'm like, oh, this is it's hard to root for you, pal. Like I can almost relate to you, and then you go do something so like just absurdly narcissistic, and you're just like, fuck this guy. So it's working.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I enjoy
totally. Well, I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go.
You've like seen it in like skateboarding and stuff too. That happens, right? It's like, there's something that happens, or it's part of the thing is coolness, or like being cool, or having like really a style, and there's certain styles that are kind of accepted, and then certain styles like, well, hey, I'm going to wear like super baggy jeans, and I'm going to do spiked bracelets, and I'm going to look like a insane clown posse. If you had that skater, no matter how good they were, and they dressed like insane clown posse and were like that vibe, like I'm going to drink my Faygo and go like hit a 16 stair, backside, whatever. And people would be like, is a great skater, but part of this part of this is like hanging out and being cool and being part of the thing that we're all a part of. And I feel like you're just doing the skateboarding part. And I think this happened. This was like a big Shaun White thing in snowboarding. I don't know if you know, where everybody was like, yeah, he's probably the greatest to ever do it. He's probably the greatest snowboard athlete definitely of that generation, but probably of all time. But like he worked so hard at being the athlete that it was hard for people. Like this is also kind of a social thing, and we're trying to like have it be this thing. And he was always like, I don't fucking get it. Like I don't know why everybody hates me.
What do you mean? How is being the flying tomato not the coolest branding ever?
Well, and it was probably partially it was the media like glomming onto him and going like he's the guy, and everyone else going, come on, he's great, but like really he's gonna get all the attention. So there probably was a bit of that jealousy, whatever, but then there's that part of like yeah, this is still kind of a culture, and I feel like you're selling out the culture, whatever, whether it's true or not, doesn't matter. And I feel like that's the Billy Corgan thing, where people are like, yeah, just come into the crew, we're being cool. And he's like, I got my own thing going on, and I'm going to shave my head, and I'm going to talk about how I created everything that you guys made. I created I was the first one to do this, and everyone's like, I don't know, man, sure.
We tried.
I feel like that's not part of our vibe, bragging about whatever, but yeah, go for it. Whatever.
Sure.
You be you.
Yeah. I don't know, but I feel like it was great to talk to Jeff and just hear his story. I mean,
yeah.
It's really seemed like, it kind of came out of the blue, and he was really, embraced into the band as being a band member. And then I think, sound like, according to him, the Billy Corgan was still trying to figure out what that rebranding or that sort of birth of the band. It was him and Jimmy, and then they just put people in there, like how much can we distill this down to just the two of us, but still present a great live show.
Yeah.
And hiring other people, and
I mean,
it sounded like he was on a roller coaster for a number of years there, and he learned a lot.
Yeah, how many years? He was in there like 4 or 5 years,
maybe
even more
up
than
to
that?
6. Yeah.
It's a long time.
A long run.
I mean, the people that I know who have been in kind of bigger bands, it's like the parts of like staying in hotels and food, everything kind of being like. It's like a job, like here's when we show up, was practicing and whatever. Seems like very nice, but then the other parts are like, this is rough. I mean, I guess if you're getting paid a lot of money, it's great. But if you're like one of the hired, if you're one of the hired guns that's just playing and that's your job, it's like, you're probably making a little bit more than kind of a normal job, but the amount of traveling and being on and dealing with like the stressful situation of dealing with the people that are at that level is it takes a certain person that can like brush all the other stuff off and just play music. But yeah, just hearing a couple stories here and there of like, yeah, even if I was good enough to do that, I probably would have been out in like 6 months. Like, I can't, this is not, this is a lot. Like, sure, if there's $1 million a year, like,
yeah,
I will let that, like, all that dust fly right off the shoulders real quick. I'll shut my mouth, get up there. But, oh my God.
I'm sure there's some kind of matrix to what a band, an established band that was popular in the 90s, what they need to pay somebody to perform with them on stage now at this point,
and to stick around.
And how long, what is the burnout sort of factor? How long can they pay them as little as possible before they burn out and just say, fuck off, I don't need this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Because inevitably, even if they paid them double, it's still, you're just going to burn out. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? And what is the role of that sort of thing? It feels like, Alice Cooper, I think, has done it well. And like the Alice Cooper band, I think I've seen people say like, it's almost like the Roger Corman school of filmmakers, like if you do this job well, you'll never have to work with me again.
Yeah. I'm going to set you up to,
I will pay you nothing and I will grind you down to a nub. And if you can survive that, then people will know who you are and you'll have made a name for yourself.
And you'll learn everything.
And you can go out and just play your own, set yourself up for something else. And it seems like that's kind of been the Alice Cooper sort of thing of, just burning out lead guitar players. But if they do a great job, then everyone, that's a platform for them to shine and they can go launch their own sort of solo career or join another band where they're a little bit more taken care of. Not that he doesn't take care of his people. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's a thankless gig. You know what I mean? You're not the guy, your name's not ever going to be on the marquee. It's someone else's name.
And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah, that's what the money's for.
Yeah,
that's, one of my favorite Mad Men quotes. Yeah.
Well, I heard Harrison Ford get asked about getting.
Oh yeah,
like going into the new what movie was it?
The Hulk movie. He plays a Red Hulk.
Oh yeah,
and Captain
like,
America. Yeah.
Do you ever have
Isn't
to
it
think about
embarrassing?
this and embarrassing and whatever? And he's like, that's what the money is for. No,
yeah.
Not even a little bit. It's not even a little bit embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that must cross everybody's mind. I love that he's at this age where he could just be so honest about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm getting makeup put on, I'm getting little dots put on my face. They're going to turn me into some big Red Hulk thing. I just got to, growl out some lines, mumble some lines for 6 weeks. And then I get millions of dollars and don't have to work.
Yeah.
For a couple of years.
Yeah.
Can smoke weed and hang out
on trips
with my grandkids.
Yeah.
It's great. Go fishing.
Go hang out on an island somewhere, probably.
it's the island you own.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, exactly. but yeah, no, I love talking to Jeff and getting to hear his story. And we played a show with William Cashon, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, from Future Islands, the bass player from the band Future Islands, and Jeff have a project. We played at Permanent Records Roadhouse a couple months back, and that's how I got to know him. But yeah, Jeff seems cool. He's obviously super talented, and he's got shows coming up. So it was cool. It's fun. Hopefully I'll play more shows with him.
I love
what it's like.
I do have to keep saying this, that I really do love hearing the conversations, especially when you guys are like nerding out about guitar stuff and amps. And
I get nervous about that stuff. Is this relatable to anybody?
And it's way more technical than I don't, you know me, like every time we've talked about stuff and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I go past like a rat pedal and then a fuzz and then a delay. It's like, I got those.
That's really all you need to know.
I've had different versions of those, but I really don't understand anything past that. And then even when he's like, well, you can't put a distortion and then do a big muff. I'm like, oh, that's what I did. Was that the problem? Because that's what I did for like 10 years. Exactly what you said. That's like, that never works. Gig. Especially not into this kind of amp. And like, oh, that is just going to muddy everything up. I'm like, all right.
I do have to say though, I think there is some part of me like I would love to do a tour sitting in with a giant band for like a year, just to have the experience of the sound of the guitar tech and the sort of the thing, you know what I mean, where you just go onto the stage and everything's set up for you exactly as you want it.
Yeah,
and you just get to play whatever the songs are. And I think I could put up with it probably for a year. I don't think I could do more than that.
Yeah. I mean,
but I would love that experience just to sort of like sit in, like drop into some surreal circus for a year and just go flying around. It's easy. It's not hard. That's not the hard part of it. And you're playing these shows and you're doing the thing. And then afterwards you're done, and everybody else packs it all up, puts it away for you. And, then you arrive at another stage, another arena, and all of your stuff's set up and you're like, cool. This looks like just like what it was last night.
Do your sound check.
Let's go do it. Yeah.
I mean, I think it would really matter. Like if you had the people who had written the songs and were in the band, and if they're cool, it seems great.
Well, I think that's therein lies the rub. I think that's the Keanu conundrum.
But if you're in Dogstar, there's a reason no one's left Dogstar. Right.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm sure that'd be great. But filling in for someone in Dogstar would be fantastic. But I think that in general, those people, that are writing those songs and are in those huge arenas and playing their hit songs from 30 years ago are bummed for some reason. They're perturbed because they can't play the new song. They're the level of ego and just dissatisfaction in life somehow seems to just make their life. They spread misery.
Yeah. I don't want to play the casino
and everyone else around them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to hear those happy stories.
Yeah. Our old drummer, Dave, played in, or still plays in Herman's Hermits, but he's been their tour drummer he was the tour drummer when he was playing with us, which was like 2005. So 20 years. He's been like 2 gigs a week. He flies out, goes to they play a casino, they play a county fair, they play this, they play that, and he loves it. He's like, yeah, it's the best, and
it's great.
It pays, it's like his
he
steady
can make a living
gig
off of it. That's great.
I mean, he plays in like 6 other bands too. He's like a metal drummer and plays in like some crazy death metal bands, and then he'll go on tour and they have backups for him if he has to be gone for a week. They call in the backup for Herman's Hermits and whatever. I mean, he's like he drums for a living.
Sure.
And so he's like a tour drummer. He plays on people's records. He can play any kind of music. But I feel like that was the thing with him, was like, he has no ego about any of it. He's like, I drum. I'm a drummer and I show up and drum. And I'm like, I love drumming. He drums every day. Like he goes and practices every day. He's got, he's the only reason we were able to even stay a band, because he had a practice space. And he was like, every time we made even $50 or whatever, it's just like, just give it to Dave. Dave, I don't know. We owe him that. But he had like 5 bands going. So he's like, I don't need.
Don't worry about it.
We're playing like once a month. You don't need to pay me for practice space. Like this is, you can't store your gear here.
Just take your stuff with you.
Or maybe we did. No, we did store our gear. We really took advantage of Dave. I'm sorry, Dave.
Oh, so you can make your amends.
But he made, over the couple of years, he made his like $500. I don't know. Whatever dumb low amount of money we ever made. But it is funny though. But with him is like the same thing. Like he just had no ego about any of it, and was like, "I'm here to play drums. I don't need my name. I don't need anything." I was like, I love playing music, and I think that's like the dude that you need to be in those situations. To be like, yeah, I got into music, and it's full of crazy people, and you have to be okay with that. With that, any of those bands, like anybody who's willing to put themselves out there and make records and try to go on tour and play and still be in their like 30s or 40s or 50s or whatever, and still like pushing, like you got to be crazy to do that.
That's it.
You got to be crazy to make good stuff. I think a little bit.
The madness comes along with it.
Yeah.
And we got to put up with that.
Speaking of Keanu Reeves. No.
I need this out of my brain.
I want room service.
Oh, so good. I know. I feel like all the good Keanu lines are always they're always like self statements, like I am an FBI agent.
Right.
I guess you could say I'm back. It's these like he has these declarative like things. I don't know what he says in The Matrix.
He does always play like if Bill from Bill and Ted became serious. Like Bill was like his high school.
That was his one comedic role.
Yeah. It was like
Bill.
That was him in high school. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to get into tech.
From a metalhead in high school.
You know what I'm going to do, Ted? I'm going to get into tech. I'm going to move to Silicon Valley, and I am going to learn about computers. Okay, this is where I'm going to go.
This is
all right, Bill.
Bill, and nothing
carry
worked
on.
After traveling through time in high school as a metalhead, he decides, I'm going to get into Silicon Valley, and he's never happy. So then all of these are the adventures of the unhappy tech man.
My name is Bill. I'm here to carry your information in my head to Shanghai.
Maybe it's all one universe. There's the Keanu-verse.
Oh, universe?
The Keanu-verse.
Yeah. I like that.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they're all multiverses of the same person, or he's like traveling through the phone booth to different like alternate timelines.
Oh, yes.
And this is where it all works.
And now
it seems like, because it kind of seems like the same character, honestly, in all of them. They're all like bad dreams.
And now he's John Wick. He's like rich, but he's unhappy because of all the tech horrible. And he's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm just going to go on a murder spree. I've never seen a John Wick movie, by the way.
Oh, really?
No.
So we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
That's a good point to end it on. Now we've gotten here. But the way I saw John Wick 3 first, because again, I didn't think much of it when it was coming out, and I think the kids were little, and so I was like, I don't know what this is. It's another bad, Keanu Reeves movie. But I saw the third one. I was like, okay. I was like, everyone's saying this is good. I went and saw it in the movies, and I loved it. And it was like, it felt like a skate movie or skate film.
It's just all action, right?
It's all setups, like minimal dialogue. He's driving to a place, and then he just fights, and it's all just huge stunt pieces. And then that one ends, and he drives a little bit, or he rides a horse, or he goes somewhere else and has another big fight. And then a little talking, goes over here, has another big fight, and then the movie's over. And it's like, that was amazing. Like he fought, I think in that one, he like fights ninjas on motorcycles while he's riding a horse across the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yes.
And it was like, yes, all of this is great.
Like they're just picking pieces of paper out of a hat of like, he's going to be fighting. Okay.
Mad Libs, ninjas riding on a tugboat while he's on a eagle.
Using
Yes. They're, but it was so much fun. I was like, okay, now I got to go back and watch these. So I went back and watched the first one, and that one you can feel the budget isn't great. It wasn't as much as the third one, but it still works on kind of that kind of smaller budgeted level. And there's a little bit more heart to it. You get the setup. Like that doesn't really matter what the story is. 'Cause you're just seeing him like shooting people, and he's so good at,
he's trying to like save his dog or something, right?
In the first one, he's getting revenge
dog.
for the dog.
Yeah.
Someone killed his dog, and so that reactivates his assassin thing. So it's also his geezer teaser phase, where you have the older movie stars come back for these like giant like bloodthirsty revenge movies where they are, I think I've told you about this, where it's like these geezer teasers. The main guy is Freddy or Jason, and he just goes on a killing spree. But you root for the monster now. Yeah. And they're the aged up 90s action heroes. So this is his version of that. And it is great. And he just, and he looks good in a black and white suit, with his hair there and maybe with a cut on his cheek. And then you're just like, this is great. And he checks the clip, and he always does the thing with the gun, and he knows how to do it. And he double taps everybody, gets him one in the chest and one in the head. And it's like it's like a video game, I think that, but more like, these like skate kind of things, or just like they set it up and they pay it off so well. And it's all done by stunt people with the best stunt, performers you could have. And then Keanu Reeves is just flipping around, and then it gets more fantastical as it goes. He gets a bulletproof jacket, or he has bulletproof like Prada, tailored suits that he wears, and so he can hold his jacket up as a shield, almost like he's like in a paintball fight, while people just shoot, machine guns at him, and he's holding his jacket up, and every one of his shots lands, and the 5,000 of theirs never hit him. It's great. Yeah. It's all the things you want from an action film. Yeah. So I would say, you definitely can go in order, but the third one, I feel like this is where they really perfected it into that like distilled down, like, okay. The second one's also really good, but then the fourth one, they ended. But number 2 and number 3, they figured it out. Yep. And I think they're trying to establish that there's a world to it all, and Ballerina is the extension. And I imagine there'll be a prequel of some sort, or baby Keanu.
And then Disney will buy it, and you'll be able to go into the John Wick universe at Disneyland.
That'd be kind of cool. They built a world. I mean, there's a whole like steampunk sort of like operator system of assassins, where you got to like, if you want to assassinate somebody, you got to call these like sexy suicide girls with tattoos in a steampunk world that only use like plug-in old school, like, phone operator switchboards, and you want to be connected to the count of so-and-so who says who you can and can't kill. And you give everybody gold coins and stay at cool, steampunk hotels and drive classic cars with ninja throwing stars on the wall. I don't know. Again, you know what I mean? There's a point of view.
That should be your, like on Redbox or whatever, you can go, and that's your John Wick.
That is the John Wick world. There's a world of John Wickness. So yeah, it's great. Okay. All right. Well, we have Jeff Parker coming up this week. This will conclude our week of 3 Jeffs, or our last 3 weeks of Jeffs.
Oh, wow.
Jeff Byron, Jeff Schroeder, Jeff Parker, all 3 Jeff guitar players. The Jeffs.
El Jefes.
And then, yeah. My name is Jeff.
Hello, my name is Jeff.
Yeah. So that's where we got it. And then, you're doing a little bit of road traveling, so we're going to batch a few of these for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
we'll watch Sandra Bullock and The Net.
Yeah,
and then
maybe I'll watch that tonight.
Yeah, definitely watch The Net. It's fun. It's a good one.
I'm into it. I'm into all of this. I feel like I'm reliving my childhood, but it's all coming true. And we all thought, they're all extensions. Like you said, it's all the same movie. Again, I mean, it's all the same sort of idea in the same movie. Oh, and then Hackers after that with Angelina Jolie. I still have to watch that. Oh, right. We got some good ones. Okay, we got a good list. We're already in it. We haven't even gotten to The Matrix yet.
I feel like that's where it all ends. This is our 90s sci-fi, sort of I don't know what we're calling it. Sci-fi summer.
It's the Keanu's
the Keanu conundrum.
Yeah, Keanu conundrum.
We've entered the Keanu conundrum.
Wi-Fi summer.
Wi-Fi summer. One hot, crazy Wi-Fi summer.
Perfect.
Maybe that'll be next summer. We'll do our summer camp.
Yes.
Module.
if summer still exists next year.
We'll see. God willing.
Yes.
All right, man. All right. I'll see you, everybody. Have a good week. I'll see you on Thursday with Jeff Parker.
All right. See you, man.
Okay. Bye.